Alright, if you're planning on going to Disney World soon, then you need to know about all the good and the concerning changes happening around the parks and hotels. And we've got every single big change packed into today's video, so get ready for some eye-opening reveals here on DFB Guide. Hey everybody, it's AJ for Disney Food Blog. Now when it comes to major changes, Disney World's all like, oh yeah, we're used to this. But as a visitor, some of these changes may be shocking to learn about, and that's why we're here to fill you in on the future of the parks and resorts and share how the changes could derail your plans so you can figure in these new developments alongside the rest of your vacation. Disney's deluxe, moderate, and value resorts are all experiencing some major changes, and soon, but some of the biggest changes are currently taking shape over at one of the EPCOT area resorts. Disney's Boardwalk Inn is getting a resort remodel. Our little turn-of-the-century resort, Disney's Boardwalk Inn, is coming up with some drastic changes for its guests, and all of these changes will be happening over the course of the next year. First, let's hit you with the bad news. Permanent closures have impacted two of Boardwalk Inn's restaurants. Boardwalk's ESPN Club has officially shuttered its doors for good, so if you're missing out on the sports scene, you can always hit up CityWorks Eatery and Poorhouse at Disney Springs or Rick's Sports Bar and Grill at Disney's Coronado Springs Resort to catch up on the big sports ball game on one of their many big screens. But another big travesty is the closure of the Little Boardwalk Bakery, which has seen us through good times and bad. There is a silver lining to all of this, and that's brand new stuff. The table service restaurant, the Cake Bake Shop by Gwendolyn Rogers, will enter the boardwalk scene, and it'll serve cakes, as well as savory options and a full-on afternoon tea service. Now, the Cake Bake Shop that's coming to Boardwalk Inn isn't a Disney World exclusive restaurant. Rogers also has two other locations out in Indiana, and that means we've been able to try this restaurant before it hits the boardwalk. Want to hear what we found out? Of course you do. The Cake Bake Shop we tried in Broad Ripple Village was in an adorable little house that went all out on the interior decor. There are vines covered in flowers, dainty chandeliers, soft pastel colors, and marble tables. And while we were there, of course, we had to try a few things for science. We had a croque monsieur for brunch, which was cheesy and filling and made with a nice thick country bread. We also tried the blackberry avocado salad and the caprese sandwich, and both had nice fresh ingredients with bold flavors. We were also surprised that the caprese had walnuts. Not mad about it though. But of course, we had to try the stars of the show here, those bakery desserts. We ordered Gwendolyn's famous Earl's Court chocolate cake, a magic bar, and the blueberry lemon Marie Antoinette. And let me just say, these treats are going to help heal that hole in my heart that the Boardwalk Bakery left in its wake. They're pretty to look at and even better to eat. Gwendolyn Rogers mentioned in an exclusive interview she did with us that as far as the menu's concerned, she's excited to share any and all of her recipes at the existing locations with Disney guests. But don't let me talk for Gwendolyn. How about you hear it from her? Check out our exclusive interview with her before the restaurant opens. And the Cake Bake Shop is expected to open sometime in 2023. And the Boardwalk Deli has already opened. This counter service restaurant replaced the Boardwalk Bakery. You'll still find a full bakery case with cannoli and black and white cookies. They're also serving up a more robust breakfast, lunch, and dinner menu with bagel breakfast sandwiches and lots of options for hot and cold sandwiches later in the day, like an Italian sub, a warm pastrami Reuben, and even a roasted chicken sandwich. The Boardwalk has been kind of lacking when it came to quick grab-and-go food, so this is a very welcome addition with much bigger options. But the brand new Boardwalk Deli is slated to open lots sooner than that, like we're talking really soon, which means we're going to be able to chow down on hot and cold deli sandwiches, baked breads. And now let's move on to the other changes going on in the Boardwalk. That's right, we're not finished yet. Along with the restaurant additions and closures, Disney announced that the hotel's lobby, lounge, and guest rooms will be getting an update soon. So if you were one of those people who thought this little resort was starting to feel a little dated, then you'd be thrilled to know that the Boardwalk will be getting a new light, breezy, and open-air makeover with a bonus coffee shop just to put the cherry on top. So big question, how is this going to affect your hotel planning now? Well, if Boardwalk Inn is a bucket list resort for you, then you may want to hold off on staying here for the next year while all those construction updates are taking place. But if you absolutely love the current Boardwalk Inn's vintage rooms and you just want to see them one last time, then you'll want to book a room here soon for a final stay in their OG form. Usually Disney hotels will renovate rooms one section at a time, so even if some hotel rooms get updated, you may still get a chance to stay in the older model rooms for a little while longer. But the real question is, Will the nanny chairs survive this update? Only time will tell. So even with the updates to the old Coney Island theming going on at Boardwalk Inn, you should still be able to feel those vintage vibes of the carnival life around the hotel. But that antique atmosphere will definitely be receiving some high-tech futuristic updates soon, along with all the rest of the Disney World hotels out there. Toward the end of this year, which is like sneaking up on us really quickly, how is it already August? We should start seeing Hey Disney devices popping up in each of the Disney hotel rooms. And that's not just exclusive to Disney World. Disneyland is getting them too. But what is a Hey Disney device? Well, Hey Disney is going to work a lot like your ALEXA back home. You're welcome. So basically, your Hey Disney device is going to be like your little robo companion. You can say, hey Disney, what are the park hours for EPCOT today? Or, hey Disney, how's the weather out there? Or even, hey Disney, I need extra pillows, please. And Hey Disney will actually listen to those requests and be able to help you out. It's also going to have games, soundscapes, digital stories, and a dozen odd fun little ways to interact with characters virtually. Now, of course, not everyone's going to like this new feature for many of the same reasons people don't like ALEXA. They're listening. Always listening. Not saying Disney's out here bugging their hotel rooms or anything, but if for any reason this new device makes you uncomfortable, you can always unplug her. But on the opposite side of things here, if you're like super into this newfangled tech, you'll be able to buy a Hey Disney device on Amazon. Though they're not currently available, you can still sign up to be on Amazon's email list and they can tell you when the Hey Disney tech goes live. That can make for a real unique birthday gift for someone, you know? There are some hotels on Disney property that constantly feel like they're undergoing major changes, and this one is currently undergoing some legit demolition. How many different ways has Disney's Polynesian Village Resort changed over the last couple of years? Well, how much time do you have? The Port Cocher and monorail station were touched up and got a new paint job, which finished last September. There was the lobby makeover that now includes glass floats, fishing nets, and oversized bamboo elements. And there were the ever-popular Moana-themed room updates, also an addition we got last summer. So what are we waiting on now? Well, you might have noticed that the Spirit of Aloha dinner show is no longer alohaing. In fact, it's been completely demoed. You can see it from the monorail. It's just a big patch of dirt. This is making way for the new Polynesian DVC buildings, that's Disney Vacation Club, which should be ready by 2024. So we've still got a lot of time before that project comes to fruition, which means a lot of construction to put up with in the meantime. These new DVC rooms are going to be inspired by the early concepts for Disney's Polynesian Village Resort, and that sounds super cool because what 80s Disney kid isn't totally up for nostalgia? And along with these changes, Disney did say that there would be new dining options featured within the DVC expansion, so it'll be interesting to see where we can dine at Polynesian Village next, and if the new dining will be able to compete with Ohana and its blessed Ohana noodles. Speaking of dining reservations, Kona Cafe will be undergoing refurbishments as well. From now until the foreseeable future, Kona Cafe has closed up shop. However, you can still mobile order select breakfast, lunch, and dinner offerings from Kona Island. In short, if you're going to be staying at the Polynesian Village anytime soon, brace yourself for construction. For all you DVC folks out there who are now going, seriously, we have to wait until 2024 for these new Polynesian DVC suites to open up, you may want to check out the newly remodeled Big Pine Key Villas at Disney's Grand Floridian Resort and Spa. These are very subtly themed around Mary Poppins, but still keep things classy with a capital C. Or if you're wanting to stay somewhere more affordable, yet still close to the Magic Kingdom, you can always look into the rooms over at Wilderness Lodge. I'm not saying those rooms are cheap, but they're cheaper than the monorail resort rooms. Not to mention those rooms were recently remodeled too. Now they keep up with that rustic vibe while also incorporating some Disney woodland friends like Bambi and Chip and Dale. Unlike the Spirit of Aloha, there are some resort closures coming up fairly soon that'll only be temporary, but still might throw a kink in your vacation plans. Who's ready to hear about pool closures? Now, this always and totally legitimately freaks out viewers and readers, and rightly so. Some of us choose our hotel based solely on the pool, so if it's going to be closed for the days you're there, what? So pay attention, these pool closures are going to kick off the 2023 year. High Rock Springs Pool at Disney Saratoga Springs will be closed from January to March. From January to April, the feature pool will be closed at Disney's Contemporary Resort, and Disney's Fort Wilderness Resort will close up the Meadows Swimming Pool between January and April. Now, it's important to note that these kinds of closures are pretty run-of-the-mill for Disney, since the start of the new year brings with it cooler temperatures and usually lower crowds. That makes it the perfect time for these pools to have their routine maintenance checks. Even though we've only got a handful of pools on this list currently, that does not mean Disney won't announce more closures later on. So be sure to join the DFB newsletter for those updates, because we do not leave you hanging when it comes to pool closures, y'all. We know how important that is. The link to join that free newsletter with weekly updates on construction projects in Disney World is right in the description of this video. And if the name of your Disney World game is swimming in your hotel pool, make sure you're up to date on those closures at the beginning of the year. And that's all for resort news for now. Now onto the major park changes, starting with Magic Kingdom. New rides and returning favorites. When it comes to good changes, Magic Kingdom is full steam ahead. Which reminds us, before we get your hopes up a little too much about the Walt Disney World Railroad reopening, just know that we are still over here waiting for an official announcement for when it's going to be open. But that doesn't mean we don't have any goss for you concerning this project. Not too terribly long ago, we caught some engine testing for the train. We also saw cast members starting to, train for the train. And that's also all sorts of exciting. So does that mean this train's opening sooner rather than later? Not necessarily. The original reason that the Walt Disney World Railroad closed in the first place back in 2018, yep, that long ago, it always boggles my mind that there are children who are like getting ready to go to kindergarten that have never been on the train. Anyway, that was because of the construction of a certain hyped up roller coaster that I'll be talking about next. So whether or not we'll see the train open before or after the coaster's construction is all still up in the air. But what I can tell you is we're seeing new train tunnels taking shape for the Walt Disney Railroad to chug on through when construction is complete. Disney hasn't forgotten about the locomotive, nor would the spirit of Walt Disney ever allow them to do so. So keep the faith, my friends. We've been seeing a lot of progress on this one. All right, now let's talk high-speed thrills. It's been a long time coming, TRON Lightcycle Run, but we're finally starting to see the light at the end of this extremely long coaster tunnel, and that light is blue, neon blue, and kind of like a glow cube, honestly. This light cycle race into the digital future, TRON Lightcycle Run, may not have an official release date yet, but it has had some major milestones that we've been stalking. Yes, stalking. We literally ride the People Mover every single day to see what's going on at TRON. Now, in May 2022, Disney released their first full steam ahead test run of the coaster. We also saw that big wavy canopy, similar to the one you see at the TRON Lightcycle Run coaster over in Shanghai Disneyland, go up and over the tracks. And very recently, we saw with our own eyeballs the nighttime lighting within the canopy. Very cool stuff, y'all. And these days, we see those light cycles testing pretty regularly, so we know they're getting worked on. So when this coaster does open and we're all blowing our party favors and throwing confetti and all around merriment, what is this going to mean for your Magic Kingdom trip? Well, more than likely, and I mean very likely by that, TRON is going to be priced as an individual Lightning Lane entrance and not listed on the regular Genie Plus ride list, because it's going to be that top tier hot commodity everyone and their mother wants to ride experience. What I'm also predicting, because history tends to repeat itself, is that TRON Lightning Lane prices will be at their highest on opening day. When Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind first opened in EPCOT, Lightning Lanes were $17 per person per ride, but they didn't stay capped off at $17 for long. As far as the main queue goes, we're expecting TRON to be a virtual queue first, which means you'll have to grab virtual queue passes for your group on the My Disney Experience app at either 7 a.m. or 1 p.m. It also means you won't be able to jump into an average physical queue line at first. So if you don't want to miss out on this ride, I'd highly suggest studying up on how to grab virtual queues on our DFB website. Will all of that come to pass? I don't know, maybe it won't, but for the past few rides Disney has opened, this has been how they opened them. Someday I'll be able to drop you an official launch date for TRON, so if you want to be one of the first people to finally get the news when it releases, go ahead and sign up for that newsletter. Again, the link is below. If you're already signed up, thank you, and if you're not, you should, because I send really weird newsletters on Fridays. And keep up to date with our latest news videos, which we put up weekly on Saturdays on this YouTube channel, to make sure everyone stays in the know. All right, I covered all the new Magic Kingdom stuff, but how about the grand returns of some of our favorite limited edition experiences? Those full-on after-hours parties. We've already seen Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party return to Magic Kingdom with its semi-spooky parades, ride overlays, fireworks shows, and trick-or-treat trails. But the holiday season is also going to follow suit, bringing back Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party that we haven't seen since 2019. Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party, or MVMCP as we call it, is returning on select dates between November 9th and December 22nd. It's going to run from 7 p.m. to midnight. Now, included in the party will be exclusive snacks, Minnie's wonderful Christmas time fireworks, Mickey's Once Upon a Christmas Time parade, rare character meet and greets, even more Holly Jolly shows, and of course, Snope on Main Street, USA. Much like Not So Scary, Mickey's Very Merry is a separately ticketed event from your regular Magic Kingdom theme park ticket. You can purchase them on the Disney World website today, and the sooner you can grab these tickets, the better, since this event is an extremely popular one. Ticket prices range from $149 to $199 for ages 10 and up, and $139 to $189 for ages 3 to 9, not including tax, per person, with the lower prices being earlier in the season and peak prices being closer to Holly Jolly time. But since that's like pretty much the price for a full day park ticket, you may want to just stick with a party ticket for now unless you really want to double up. After all, party guests will get to enter the park before the festivities kick off, which means entering as early as 4 p.m. And that means you still have time to mess around the Magic Kingdom for 3 hours before all the merry and bright festivities start taking place. So if you went that route, you could still have a solid 8 hours in the park without having to purchase a regular park ticket. But let's say you're not planning on going to one of these parties. Is this still going to impact your Magic Kingdom visit? Absolutely. On days when the after hours parties are taking place, Magic Kingdom will close early, usually at 6 p.m. So before you plan which day you're going to hit Magic Kingdom, double check the Disney World calendar on their website to see how you can plan around those early closures. Now, Magic Kingdom might have a lot of plans up its sleeve, but there's another park in the mix that's been a constant stream of changes lately, and those changes keep on coming. Within the past year, EPCOT's given us new rides, new restaurants, new shows, and new shops, and it is still growing strong on the updates. Nope, no time to rest, especially not with that big EPCOT milestone happening in the next couple of months. That's right, EPCOT is turning the big 4-0 on October 1st, and we are ready to partay. But is Disney ready to do the same? Disney's been in major party mode since Disney World's 50th anniversary last year and plans on keeping that celebration going until March 2023. And when Epcot's 30th anniversary happened back in 2012, there was a one-day jubilee with Imagineer guest speakers and a celebratory version of the former Illuminations Nighttime Spectacular. But we've heard little to nothing about what's going to go down for Epcot's 40th this year. Are we getting guest speakers, special foods, birthday party performances, merchandise? Whatever happens, I'm sure Disney's got at least a little something in mind to celebrate the big day. So if you want to be part of those festivities, make sure you secure your park pass reservations for October 1st super soon, like today. And on a similar note, if you want to catch all the 50th anniversary happenings before they wrap up, then you got those park reservations figured out before the 1st of March next year, right? Right, you've still got time. Now, if we've already got the new Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind and Remy's Ratatouille Adventure, not to mention an entirely new restaurant and coffee shop, then Epcot should have hit their rides and attractions quota for a while, right? But there's still more in the works. Journey of Water, inspired by Moana, has been in the works since 2019, and though the park closures of 2020 slowed its construction down to a standstill there for a while, Disney Imagineers are back in building once again and making quite the progress. Journey of Water, inspired by Moana, is going to be a walk-through, interactive world nature experience where you can play with lots of magical water on some gardens and trails. Basically, this is going to be the perfect place for you to take a breather and for your kids to let off some steam, I hope. Now, you know how Moana got to befriend the whole ocean in her movie? Yeah, that's basically what you're going to do here. And guess what? This attraction is educational. Yep, you and your pod will learn about the natural water cycle and water preservation, because this is Epcot after all. Of course, they're going to teach us something along the way. The concept art for Moana illustrates just a fraction of what we should expect, and even more concept art was released this past May to give us an overhead view of the whole thing. Of course, we're watching the construction eagerly from the monorail every day as well, and giving updates on the blog. But there's still a lot of work to be done here, which is a big reason why we're still seeing Walcott after all this time. But it seems like the rock formations on the garden are starting to take shape, and progress is indeed being made. No announcements yet about when we should expect to see this Journey of Water wrap up and open to the public, but we'll let you know as soon as we hear word. There's still one more lingering Epcot project that's going to change the way we explore not just Epcot, but its festivals too. But this project has been super fickle. You're going to see what I mean. Let's talk about the Festival Center. So when this brand new pavilion was first announced, it was going to be a 3-tiered situation. So like a fully futuristic looking home base for those annual festivals like Flower and Garden, Festival of the Arts, which of course we call Farts, Food and Wine, and the Festival of the Holidays, with a full-fledged sky park on the 3rd story of this festival center. But during a Disney press release in 2020, it seemed the Festival Center plan switched up on us, downgrading from a festival center to a festival area, which would still accommodate rotating festival entertainment, but maybe not out on a 3-story scale. Then things were quiet for a bit, and we kind of wondered if the project was even going to happen, since EPCOT did have to shelve a few other projects in the works, like the reimagined Spaceship Earth and the Mary Poppins Dark attraction for the UK pavilion. But then Communicore Plaza was announced this year, and we got to see how the OG Festival Center concept had reshaped itself again. The Communicore Plaza will be an outdoor space where folks can come to chill and check out some festival offerings. It'll also hold a new concert area for big and more intimate performances. And inside the Communicore Plaza will be Communicore Hall, and that's where all the food magic's going to happen. Communicore Hall will have a demonstration kitchen, a mixology bar, and an exhibition and gallery space. Basically, this is our new festival center for those of you who remember the festival center from pre-pandemic times, which used to be the Wonders of Life Pavilion before it was the festival center. And surrounding the plaza area, you'll find a futuristic-looking garden space that'll be able to transform itself depending on the season and the time of day you visit, since from the looks of the concept art, it should take on a more glowing appearance by nightfall. From center to area to plaza, this festival expansion still has a lot of details to be chiseled out, but we're going to give you all the updates. Also, RIP Original EPCOT Communicore, but I'm happy to have your name carried on for future generations. All right, time to move to another Disney World park that's still got a lot of explaining to do. Of course, we're going to Disney's Hollywood Studios. So what's going on with the DHS home front? Big things. You thought Toy Story Land and Galaxy's Edge were it? No way, my friends. No way. Let's talk Fantasmic. The nighttime spectacular has already returned to the Anaheim, California scene over there in Disneyland. I've seen it. It's awesome, as always. So what on earth is taking Disney's Hollywood Studios so long? The answer? Apparently updates. Fantasmic should be returning sometime this year, but not exactly the same way we remember it. Imagineers are working on adding new show scenes, which will feature a new cast of familiar faces like Mulan, Elsa, Moana, and Aladdin. The Pocahontas sequence is also going to receive a major overhaul with new technical enhancements and effects. Once upon a time, Fantasmic used to alternate between having 1 to 2 nightly performances. The typical showing usually happened around 8:30 p.m., while the second one happened around 10 p.m. when it was offered and had much lighter crowds. Fantasmic takes place in an outdoor theater with tons of bleacher seating, but that doesn't mean the space can't fill up, and it can fill up. Have you seen the crowds in Hollywood Studios lately? So when this show returns, your day in Hollywood Studios probably isn't going to change too terribly much, but you might want to get in line 30 minutes before the outdoor theater opens. You'll find the entrance off Sunset Boulevard to the right of Tower of Terror. I also want to recommend maybe bringing something cushy to sit on. I don't know, it's not like a priority or anything, and you probably aren't going to want to carry around blankets and jackets when the parks are still pretty warm, but I remember those seats being kind of uncomfy and potentially wet if there were showers off and on throughout the day. Totally up to you, but if you got a sensitive tailbone, you may want to plan ahead. Another thing Fantasmic used to offer were dining packages and dessert parties, much like you'll find currently at EPCOT in Magic Kingdom for their nighttime spectaculars. So if that's something you may possibly be interested in, keep your ears to the ground and to our newsletter, because these specialty offerings could return soon. And if they do, they've got a good possibility of being booked up fast. And if you don't really care about another nighttime Disney show coming back to the scene, you can still get hyped for the return of Fantasmic. Why? Because if all those guests are flooding into the outdoor theater to watch this thing, guess where they won't be? That's right, the ride queue lines, meaning you've got the perfect opportunity to hit up any rides you didn't get the chance to visit during the day. But that's not all Hollywood Studios has in store for us this year. Hooray for more Disney barbecue! Opening this year in Toy Story Land. Roundup Rodeo BBQ is going to be a new table service restaurant in Toy Story Land because you know Woody's Lunchbox is tired from carrying the weight of all the food options for this place by itself. And keeping true to the Toy Story Land theme, Andy's the one who built this little rodeo arena. He's such a good kid. And that means the restaurant's going to be decorated with lots of blocks and lights and cardboard cutouts and vibrant colors. It'll be nice to have another table service restaurant to choose from in Hollywood Studios, but it's important to keep in mind that this is indeed a table service restaurant, meaning you're going to need to make advanced dining reservations 60 days before your trip, at least for the first few months until the initial newness wears off. We'll see what happens after that. Keep an eye on our newsletter for official opening dates and details. We should be able to tell you when you can book your dining reservations as well, and then you'll know how and when to plan this restaurant into your itinerary. While you're waiting for Roundup Rodeo BBQ to open up shop, you can always hit up other Disney World barbecue joints like the Polite Pig in Disney Springs, Regal Eagle Smokehouse in EPCOT, and Flame Tree Barbecue in Disney's Animal Kingdom. Seriously, Disney loves their pulled pork and various smoked meats. And since we're already on the Toy Story Land subject, Let's talk really quickly about a brand new gift shop that's already open over there. Jessie's Trading Post opened its swinging doors at the end of July, and you'll find it at the exit of Toy Story Midway Mania. According to the backstory, Andy discovered Jessie's Trading Post playset tucked away in the attic and is bringing it downstairs to set up shop, full of the coolest toys and the finest souvenirs, handpicked by the rootinest, tootinest cowgirl. That's Disney PR language. So, safe to say, if you want Toy Story merch, you're gonna find the jackpot right here. Let's step out of the parks for a second to talk about even more food coming to Disney World soon. We're heading to Disney Springs. We've seen a lot of new things enter the Springs scene this year. We've got the wacky and wonderful ice cream shop, Salt and Straw. We've got the unique Dole Whip kiosk, Swirls on the Water, and the vegan-friendly local green food truck. So what's next? Well, Summer House on the Lake has been announced, and it's a very modern and sleek table service restaurant with lots of plants and open space that already has 2 other locations in Chicago and North Bethesda. But Disney Springs was like, nah, you guys can't hog this restaurant, we need it, and therefore Summer House is expected to open sometime next year. Expect the menu to feature items like pizzas and sandwiches, pasta, and fruity cocktails. Much like the Cake Bake Shop, we were impatient, so we tried out the pre-existing location in Chicago just to see what we could expect when it opens at Disney Springs. So consider this your sneak peek from the DFB team. First, let's talk atmosphere. Now, I'm not saying this restaurant is like the Cake Bake Shop, but it has similar aspects. So lots of plants and a tantalizing display of baked goods out there in the open for us to drool over. But Summer House takes on a more modern, sleek design with lots of natural light and plenty of seating among the 3 dining rooms. Now let's talk food there. For lunch, we tried the crispy chicken sandwich made with natural chicken breast, slaw, and snappy pickles. And we were big fans of this unique take on a classic chicken sandwich. Would order again. We also tried a slice of the spicy salumi and burrata pizza, and no wonder they brag about this stuff. The crust was crispy and fluffy, and the combo of ingredients all worked as a team to create a nice, unique pizza flavor. The only issues we had with it was that melty whipped burrata, which tasted great, but kind of made the underside of the pizza soggy after a while. So the first fresh slice was better than the second. And of course, we had to try one of those giant cookies from the bakery to wrap up our meal. Hey, they didn't compete with what we had over at the Cake Bake Shop, but it wasn't awful. I just don't see them competing with the other cookies you can already find in Disney Springs, like at Gideon's Bakehouse. So all in all, this isn't going to be a cheap meal or anything, but I think it's going to be a nice place for families looking for big menus that can satisfy a bunch of different tastes. Now, everything I've talked about up to this point is pretty much in the works and confirmed. It doesn't mean any of these projects can't be suddenly canceled or shelved. In fact, with some of the concerns surrounding the recently announced recession, Disney has been known to shelve projects in the past while handling the unpredictability of crises. But as of now, construction is still happening, updates are still being made on the Disney Parks social media site, and we haven't heard about any cancellations otherwise. But that doesn't mean there aren't other parts about Disney World that we've heard little to nothing about lately. Some experiences have been left in the dark for years, and we're just waiting on the day we finally learn more about their future. Here's a few things we're still waiting to know more about. Though many of the Disney World restaurants have reopened and are even returning to their original forms with character meet and greets, buffets, and full menu options, a handful of restaurants still have iffy fates. Many of those restaurants linger inside EPCOT, like Akershus in the Norway Pavilion, Takumi Te in the Japan Pavilion, and Monsieur Paul in the France Pavilion. And Disney's Grand Floridian Resort and Spa has taken a bit of a hit with their dining options, since we still know very little about what's going to happen with the Character Dining Buffet 1900 Park Fare. And we don't know too many details concerning their former afternoon tea party at the Garden View Tea Room. However, the AAA 5-diamond rated restaurant Victoria and Albert's did finally open back up to the public again, meaning the fanciest of fancy dining experiences is back and ready for you to book, if you're prepared for an ultra-classy and ultra-expensive multi-course meal that takes place over the course of several hours, that is. Now, as far as other rides and attractions are concerned, Enchanted Tales with Belle at Magic Kingdom and Voyage of the Little Mermaid at Disney's Hollywood Studios haven't been doing performances for quite a while, though if you're missing both princesses, you can still see them on their own parade floats during Magic Kingdom's Festival of Fantasy. And of course, guests have been missing the Disney dining plan and annual passes for basically what feels like forever. Annual passes were available just for a smidge last year, but sales stopped again during November 2021 and haven't resumed since. And Disney has assured us that the Disney dining plan will return, but otherwise they've been pretty quiet on what this return is really going to look like, or how soon it's going to happen. We've got some full-fledged videos about both the annual passes and the Disney dining plan that are up on our YouTube channel now, so you can check them out when you really want to learn more about the scandals and controversies laced behind these services. Now, Disney World changes don't have to be scary. They can be exciting too. In fact, some Disney World changes we wish would hurry up already. Come on, Tron. But no matter what changes Disney's throwing at you, you know that we are going to be here to help you manage any changes in plans, any updates you need to make, and of course the tips and tricks to make sure you get the most out of your Disney trip, even if those changes are happening right smack dab in the middle of it. We are always going to be around updating you on the latest announcements and the juicy insider info. So stick with the DFB crew. Let us know in the comments what changes you're looking forward to most. And I kind of want to know if you book your hotel for the pool exclusively. That's definitely something I know happens. So thanks for listening, everyone, and thanks for watching. As always, this is AJ for Disney Food Blog, and we'll see you real soon.